Hi, my name is Melody, and this girl loves her some Jesus. So I'm back. I'm still not at home, but that's okay because I told y'all I'm trying to be faithful. I'm trying to be faithful. So it doesn't matter if I'm home, doesn't matter where I am, I can still do a video thanks to technology. So I am really still talking about faith. Faith, faith, faith. So today we're going to be in Matthew. Give me 1 second. Get me logged back in. We're going to be at Matthew 14:28. And so here I'm going to give you a little background. Jesus is walking on water. They're in the midst of the storm. The disciples are in a boat. So Jesus is walking on water. So at first, the disciples are scared because, you're in a storm and you see somebody coming towards you. You have no idea what you're seeing. So, of course, as Jesus get closer, he said, they thought he was a ghost, which I understand. Um, so it's him. So I'm gonna pick up to where they realize it's Jesus and what his response is. When the disciples saw him walking on the water, they were terrified in their fear. They cried out, "It's a ghost." But Jesus spoke to them at once. "Don't be afraid," he said. "Take charge, I am here." Then Peter called to him, "Lord, if it's really you, tell me to come to you, walking on the water." "Yes, come," Jesus said. So Peter went over the side of the boat and walked on the water towards Jesus. But when he saw the strong wind and the waves, he was terrified and began to sink. "Save me, Lord," he shouted. Jesus immediately reached out and grabbed him. "You have so little faith," Jesus said. "Why did you doubt me?" So that was Matthew 14, verses 26 through 31. What I really enjoyed about that was it reminded me about my faith. It reminded me where my faith is. What do I put my faith in? Not only that, if Peter had the faith enough to ask, because it took faith and courage to ask Jesus to to let me walk on water with you. Like, I don't know if I would have been that faithful in that moment to say, in the middle of a storm, you get this picture in your head. It is a storm. The waves and water is raving. This ain't smooth sailing. It's waves and water. So it's a storm. You know how water is on a storm. So in the midst of this, they see Jesus walking towards them. So Peter said, "If it's you, call me out." So Peter had the faith in Jesus to say, "I want to walk on water with you." That took faith. But if you saw what happened in the middle of Peter having his faith, Jesus right there in the flesh, Jesus is in the flesh. He's walking towards him. He took his faith and his focus off of Jesus. He started looking at his circumstances. His perspective changed. I want y'all to catch that. Peter's perspective changed. And the reason why I say that is because it had to. If you still believe that God was faithful and you were safe and secure, he would have still been able to keep walking. But obviously, this is my take on this. Obviously, his perspective changed because now he didn't feel safe and secure in Jesus. His faith was not in Jesus. It had to be in himself, which he can't walk on water. That's why he began to sink. His faith was no longer in Jesus. His faith was no longer in Jesus. He took his eyes, he took his focus. His perspective changed, and it was now on the circumstances. He's in a storm. He's in the storm, not in a boat. He's literally in the storm, in the water. So what do you think? If you're not in a boat, you're in a storm, in the water, what do you think is going to happen to you? So that was so interesting to me because Jesus didn't change. Jesus was still where he was with him. He was still right by his side. He didn't change. Jesus didn't change. His location didn't change. It was Peter's perspective that changed, that caused his faith to change. So I thought of that because so often people think God's left me, he doesn't love me, he doesn't care about me, all this and that, and the things that they say, but it's not him. It's not him. It is so us. It is so us. The reason why your faith isn't where it should be is because of you. It's because your perspective changed. You stopped looking at Jesus. You stopped trusting him. And you started looking at your circumstances. You allow your perspective to change based on your circumstances. How often do we do that? How often do we do that? How often do you lose your faith because of your circumstances, because where you are, not because where he is? Because see, he was still right there. He was still right there. And I thought that was such an eye-opener for me. Not only that, another thing I thought about in that story that I never thought about before, if his own disciple, Peter, who was there with Jesus in the flesh, and he was walking on water for some time, he took some steps on the water, so he had faith. If he was able to lose his faith and lose his focus on Jesus, clearly it's easy for us to do it just as well. I mean, he was with Jesus in the flesh. He can touch him. And he lost his faith in Jesus. His perspective changed. He began to look at his circumstances. So if he can do that, how easy do you think it is for us to do that? It's very easy. It is very easy for you to do, for you and I to lose our faith and our focus on Jesus, because it's so easy for us to look at our circumstances. It is so easy, especially in a storm. And then you see that the story wasn't about the calmness. It was in a storm situation. Because a storm, I have fear come up in you. I mean, just think about that. A raging storm in the middle of the ocean or wherever they were. There's nothing around you. The waves and everything that is when we begin to take our focus off of Christ and we start to look at the circumstances around us. And that is when, again, you hear people start to say, God ain't never answered my prayers before, so I'm going to stop answering them. I'm going to stop praying to him. He's never done it for me before. You start talking per your circumstance. That's the words that start coming out your mouth. But he's still the same. He's right there. He's never left. He's not changed. He's been where he's been before. You've taken steps towards him before. But then when things got a little rocky and shaky in your life, or things didn't start going your way, or things not happen the way you want them to happen, your perspective start to change and you begin to sink. You begin to drown. But see, what Peter did was, and in his case, Jesus still reached out, which he still does. That's his faithfulness. That's his grace. That's his mercy. He still saved him. He still pulled him out. Even though Jesus knew the fact that his faith in him changed. Like, I'm so happy and grateful for God's grace, his mercy, because I don't always deserve it. I don't always deserve it. And it's never him. It's never him. It's always me. It's always us. It's me taking my eyes off of him. It's me taking my trust out of him and putting it on my circumstances or trying to figure something out or doing something else. It's me. It is me. It's never him. When I went to that conference, there was another song that I told y'all if you listen to my last week video, I told y'all that I asked God that I wanted to see him in a way that I've never seen or experienced him before. And he did just that, even down to the worship songs. So this is one of the lyrics. And I'm not playing the melody because I kind of want y'all to hear the lyrics, because this so spoke to me. This so spoke to my spirit. This so spoke to me. And this to me is about your faith. Where's your faith at? It say, when did I start to forget all of the great things you did? When did I throw away faith for the impossible? How did I start to believe you weren't significant for me? Why do I talk myself out of seeing miracles? You are more than able. Now I see all that I have. Oh, I've got my confidence back. I put my trust in the one who still does miracles. You do miracles. You are more than able. And it says, can you imagine, with all of the faith in the room, what the Lord can do? It's going to happen. Just let the waymaker through. He's going to move. Anything is possible. Who am I to deny what the Lord can do? I've come a long way. I've seen how you work. There's so much goodness and grace, much more than I deserve, because I know who I am, and I can't stay where I'm at. We've come this far by faith, and I just can't turn back, because he's not done with me yet. He's not done with me yet. God is more than able. Don't stop believing right now. Don't quit believing right now. Just because I haven't seen it in my lifetime, that doesn't mean he can't do it. Who am I to deny what the Lord can do? Now, I skipped the verses and I didn't repeat all of the chorus and stuff. But just when did we started losing faith? What is it in your life? What circumstances? What event? What happened in your life? When did you start throwing away your faith in Christ? What happened? Because it's not him, it's us. God is faithful. He can't help but to be faithful because that's who he is. He's faithful in all his ways. He's faithful to you and I. And what I began to think about my own personal experience, my own life, my own walk in Christ, is the more I begin to get to know him and spend time in his word and see how faithful over and over he's been to people, to his creation, the more I begin to be able to trust him more, to have faith in him, no matter the storm that I'm going, no matter the storm I'm in, no matter how bad it is in my life. The reason I can walk on water in my storm, in the storm that I'm in, is because I'm putting my faith and trust and my focus on him. And despite the fact that I'm in the middle of a storm, I'm able to walk and have my faith in him. So I encourage you to do the same. I encourage you to do the same. So, because I love him, because I love Jesus, I love you. So think about it. When did you begin to lose your faith in God? What in your life has changed? What circumstances, what event, what has happened in your life that caused you to lose your faith in Him? And I pray that you get it back. So until next time, because I love Him, I love you.